Hey everyone, happy Monday. We have a very, very special episode of Vibin It for you today. And I'm Lynnsey Robinson, a certified hypnotherapist and success alignment coach. I'm here with my co-host and soul sister, Kelsey Aida, manifestation expert and author. And today we are going to talk about the divine feminine energy and how to awaken it, what it is, why it's important, and we're even going to interview one of my clients who came to me for this very thing. So we're going to get her experience and her story. But first, we're going to dive into kind of what is the divine feminine and why it's different from the divine masculine and why it's important to have both. So we were just talking before we started recording about what our definitions of the divine feminine and masculine were, and it was kind of shocking that they were both somewhat different, right? Which is actually not that surprising because it depends on really who you ask. So the divine feminine to me is the nurturer, the creator, the watcher, the observer, the one that's connected to nature and all of that kind of stuff. So Kelsey, let's talk about what your definition of the divine feminine is.
Well, as I like how you explained it kind of as like a personality. Like if the divine feminine was a person, she would be the nurturer. She would be the protector, all the things that you said. But I usually tend to think of it more of like as like an energy. So to me, the divine feminine essence is free flowing, always changing, extremely creative, like how you said, very nurturing, very loving, very understanding,
And
wise, very wise, really open to receiving, likes to be within a safe container, like likes to be like free and almost wild within boundaries that the masculine can create for the feminine, whether that's in a relationship dynamic or just in a life situation. I feel that for me, stepping into my divine feminine, that I've become better at a lot of those things: trusting, receiving, nurturing, loving, being in touch with my intuition.
Yeah.
Jinx.
We're being intuitive about our intuition.
Yeah, very wise. Also, to me, it has a lot to do with radiance. So like shining from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the divine feminine thrives from being seen or at least recognized. And sometimes it's only for her essence. Like the divine feminine doesn't have to be, do, or have anything in order to be like praised for her like innate beauty. Like just by being and existing, like you are radiant as when you're in your divine feminine. Whereas with the masculine, I feel like it's a little more of the energy of proving, doing, becoming, forward movement, leadership, direction, protection, a little more rigid, more grounded, just different. It's yin and yang, you know, they're complementary energies. So
equal and opposite.
Yeah, they're equal and they're complementary. So
yeah. We as humans are split energies of this collective yin and yang. So we are the physical representation of what you would perceive as feminine, but we inside our spiritual being has this balance of both. So we're going to focus on the divine feminine today because, like I was saying, the energies of the world collectively seem to be yearning for more of this divine feminine, seem to be wanting more of this. So I think we've covered what it is pretty much, and we all can get on board with that idea of the divine feminine, really stepping into it. Now, whether or not you feel like you have a healthy amount of this divine feminine energy is a whole other story, and that's kind of where we're going to go today. So like I said, we have a client on to talk about her feeling the lack of this divine feminine energy and wanting to awaken it and step fully into it, because that's where she felt she'd be able to really fully embrace her true self. So I grew up as probably more on the mask. I grew up with brothers. I grew up with my dad, and I was digging for worms in the dirt, which is, not a thing that you would think a girl would do. But I hated wearing dresses. I hated being feminine. And I was just talking about this yesterday because it just, you know how when you're having a conversation and things just kind of come to you and you're like, wow, I never acknowledged this part of me before, but this is so true. And you just kind of grow in the conversation. But I was having this kind of moment with myself of like, wow, yes, I totally shoved that part of me down. And anything that sniffed femininity, I was just like, nope, don't want that. And I don't really know why, except for the fact that that's what I was around and that's what I felt like I would fit in as. And I know a lot of women in my own experience that have had similar stories of like just not being super feminine.
Well, I feel like maybe because you said, I don't know why, but then you said, I think it's about fitting in. I think that is why, like for you, it created a sense of belonging to be more like your brothers and to like fit better into your family. And like everybody, especially at a young age, needs to feel like they can be a part of their family because you need your family to survive in the beginning. Like humans can't survive by themselves. Yeah. So we will do anything, even if it's detrimental to ourselves or self-harming or whatever, to fit in, to get our needs met, to survive, to be able to live.
Well, and up until pretty recently, like right before I started having kids, it was okay to say you throw like a girl or you can't play, you're a girl and no girls allowed and all that kind of stuff. So God, it's so easy. Yeah. It's so easy to feel like it's not okay. Like what you were born as is not okay. So, you know, if anything today, hopefully it's that better understanding of there's a merge that can happen with your divine and masculine energies. You don't have to be one or the other. And in fact, being one or the other is probably not great for you.
You can't be in one all the time. You wouldn't be able to have any balance or harmony that way. Like in certain moments in your life, you're going to be more masculine. In certain moments of your life, you're going to embody more feminine. In certain times throughout the day, you're going to be more masculine or more feminine. Like, let's say you're really like strong female lawyer. When you go into work and you have to protect these people and like state their case and be like really dominant and assertive, like you're probably going to be in your masculine all day. Then when you come home and you drink a glass of wine and you dance around your house and you like go back into your feminine essence, you're embodying the complete opposite, you know? So it just depends minute by minute, hour by hour, month by month, year by year. You could go through years being in a more dominant state. Like for me, I grew up a lot in my masculine, not in the same way as Lynnsey where I was like a tomboy because I was always really girly on the outside. But I feel like that was almost me overcompensating for my lack of actual feminine essence that I wasn't exerting. Because for me, it started when these doctors told me that I couldn't be a professional ballerina, which is what I had trained my whole life to do because I had all these injuries. And they were like, you should just give up. Like, just pick another sport, do something else. Like, they basically told me to just stop doing the reason why I was existing. So that was super traumatizing. And from that day on, I was like, well, I'm going to show them. I'm going to show myself I can do anything and I can do anything better than anyone. And I'm going to show everyone. And so from that day when I went into the I need to prove myself to myself and I need to prove myself to other people, I went into like a hyper masculine mode for almost all of my teenage years and young adulthood because I felt like I had something that I needed to prove. And I was always making more money than everyone and writing books faster than other people and like achieve, go, do, which is fine. There's value to that. And society puts much more value on that than being in your surrendering divine feminine mode where you're hanging out at the park all day and taking naps when you feel like it and letting other people maybe take care of you financially for a bit so you can rest. Like, people don't put value on that, those feminine qualities, as much as they do the masculine, which is why it's so hard for women to drop into their feminine sometimes, because society has told us that's not as valuable as going, doing, proving, achieving, and like making a name for yourself or whatever you want to call it.
Well, and when I think of, we're going to have to go to break in a second, but one last thought on that before we bring Karina in is when I think of the divine feminine, I can't help but think of the mother, because whether or not you have kids, like I happen to have kids, so I see my divine feminine come out when I nurture them. But this nurturing can happen in a relationship. It can happen if you have pets, if you're a teacher.
Can happen with yourself. I nurture myself a lot more than I used to.
Exactly. So the nurturer in you is your divine feminine. We are innately nurturers, and we want to do that. And my husband is a fantastic nurturer because he's able to access that part of himself as well. For guys, it's not really considered a thing that guys do. Guys have to be men, and that the ideologies and the what is the word I'm looking for? Misconceptions that we have for these energies
the societal constructs.
Yeah, is what's causing such a divide and such a, I don't like using the word toxic, but it truly is. Like it's such a slippery slope when you start to think it's okay to have these imbalances, to just go to the extreme and have it just be.
Well, yeah, because ideally we would value both.
Yeah.
We would say, this is really valuable, and also this is really valuable, and they're both different, and we need both. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have Karina on. She's one of my, she's an amazing client. I don't want to say she's one of my favorites, but
don't be favorites now.
She's fantastic. And she came to me for hypnosis, trying to awaken this part of her and really get in touch with her higher self. So we're going to have her on. We'll be right back with Karina.
Hello, everyone. This is Kelsey, Aida, and we are back talking about the divine feminine essence. And we have a really special guest on today. Her name is Karina, and she's actually one of Lynnsey's hypnosis clients. And basically her story is she used to live a lot in her masculine, and she was feeling unbalanced, and she went to Lynnsey for help, and now she has been able to really awaken and cultivate more of her divine feminine essence. So Karina, I'm going to leave it up to you to kind of tell the story of how you found Lynnsey and what you guys were able to accomplish together.
Okay, great. Well, first off, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Essentially, it actually began last year, I would say last February. And I'm really into astrology and learning about the cosmos, of how that affects our energy as well. So I don't think it was an accident that when I'm a Taurus and Uranus went into Taurus, and they predicted that everything was going to shake up for you, that everything you know beforehand was just going to completely change. And true to form, and being a Taurus as well, I'm so stubborn to change, so stuck in my ways. But since that moment, I just felt like I needed to just completely uproot myself and just feel different within what I was cultivating. So I would say that's where it began in terms of really changing within myself. And last year was just such a huge exponential growth of tapping back into my femininity. First off, I broke up with my boyfriend of a decade, and I was really feeling like I was carrying so much of the masculine energy within that relationship. So just to get rid of that left me really vulnerable in a state to really figure out how can I get my femininity back, my power back, and just more balance within myself. So I went through a great journey of a lot of healing modalities. And so let's fast forward to this year. I knew that I was also now ready to quit my job, because I also felt really masculine within that role as well. And that's when I started to seek out hypnosis, and I found Lynnsey through the HMI catalog.
Directory, yeah.
Yes. And something about her face.
It's beautiful, so that helps.
Yes, exactly. And then I read her bio, and she had touched upon things in terms of the divine feminine and just spirituality in itself, which I really appreciated that this is the person I was going to work with. So we met, we fell in love.
I just adore you.
And she's definitely been helping me cultivate more of that. And she introduced me to this woman named Grace, who channels the divine feminine.
We're actually working on getting her on the show. So listen to
yeah.
that one. It'd be so fun.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And that aligns as well with just what I'm feeling. And she kind of confirmed that there is an uprise in the collective with the femininity right now, in claiming that because of the scales tipping to balance themselves out. And what I personally feel more than anything is being true to my nurturing self and feeling okay with being a woman. Not okay, feeling wonderful about being a woman, and unapologetic about having the softness in me. And yeah, so I don't know, I rambled way different tangents, but
no, I love your story, and I love that. I mean, a lot of women can relate to this. I know everything that you said, somebody will resonate with, because it's so common. And there's conversations that we had in our sessions where I'm thinking to myself, Kelsey would really understand this.
Well, yeah, when you were talking about your story of how you felt like you were always holding up the masculine essence within your relationship, which is hard when you are actually a feminine woman on the inside. And let's say, as far as like sexual preferences go, if your sexual essence is that of the divine feminine and you're playing the role of the masculine in the relationship, you're gonna feel off, and it's gonna feel like a burden, and it's gonna feel heavy, like how you were explaining, because that's not your true nature. Your true nature as a feminine woman is to be more of the time, especially when you're in the context of the relationship, the feminine polarization, not being the opposite of what you actually naturally are, which is probably why you were exhausted after 10 years of doing that, which I was in a lot of partnerships like that. I would always wear the pants. I would always make the decisions. I would always be the leader, which, like, that's fine if you want to do that, but if you don't, then it's not fine, you know? So I totally resonate with that. And then again, like in the work, like working so hard, proving yourself, achieving so much, like those are all beautiful things. But if you feel like you're not also doing the opposite, the more feminine, which is to receive, to not have to prove yourself, to radiate from the inside out, to just be beautiful and valuable by just existing, not necessarily doing anything, then that's also really new too. And I didn't work for a whole year when I first moved to the Midwest from California, and I slowed things down, and I spent time in nature, and I did so many things so different to cultivate and embrace my divine feminine. So when you were telling your story, I was like, oh my God, that sounds exactly like
and that's such a key word too, is receiving. The hardest thing, like I work so hard, and the hardest thing for me to do is receive.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really working on now, to just realize that. And I've quit my job, so I have a different lifestyle now, and just being in the flow of knowing that I'm worth it just because I'm me. I mean, and that goes for men and women, right? But even more so within my femininity, because I feel like I always have to prove myself to keep up with men.
Yeah.
I finally feel like it's okay to let that facade go and just allow myself to be in it.
Yeah.
And before I broke up, like I thought I could never really be with anybody else because I felt so masculine. I felt like, who's going to receive me at this level? I don't really know what it takes to date or to be in that realm, or to have a man approach me. And Lynnsey can attest to these past couple months. It's blown my mind that now I'm in this realm. What has happened to me on that front as well?
I definitely was hoping that you would go a little bit into some of the really amazing / insane things that have happened just as your energy started to shift, and as you started embracing more of this and being okay with your feminine energy and like loving stepping into that. What are some of the silliest, quirkiest, awesome things that have happened? I need them to hear about this.
I feel like I know what you're wanting me to say, so I'm not sure.
Well, just say what
setting
comes
you up. Setting you up here.
Well, I'd say within the last 3 months of us working together, this is the most dates I've been on in my life. This week I had 4 dates in a row.
Oh my gosh. So do you feel like since you're cultivating more of your feminine, that masculine men, not just men, but masculine men who are in their divine masculine are more drawn to you and you don't have to do anything but be yourself and they come to you like flies?
Essentially, yes, exactly. That's exactly it. And that's kind of crazy because I felt like I had to just like prove myself so much beforehand. And the more I just feel within my own loving, feminine, soft energy, it's just easier for a man in his masculinity to come approach me, and it feels very balanced. And it's definitely different from the men I used to attract before.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
It's really cool for me as somebody, as the facilitator, I guess. When you found me, I know you wanted to do this for you. You know, there was no question that this was something you wanted to do so you could step into your authentic self. But part of that was, not only do I want to feel my authentic self and be happy being my feminine self, I want to find my match to that as well. Because I know a big thing for you is to find your person and to create that life. You're ready. You're like, I want to start my family and the next part of my life. I know what I want, and I just want to find somebody who is a match to that. So it's funny, when you came to me, you had just ended your relationship. There was one person that you were kind of like with, but you knew didn't fit, but you were hanging on, right? And within, I don't even know, I haven't seen you in like what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
And within a week and a half or 2 weeks of us starting to work together, which was now like 2 months ago-ish, 3 months ago, there were so many choices. It was bonkers how
everywhere
it happened. And we just kind of sat back one day and we're like, can you believe that in just such a short amount of time? Like, it even astounds me sometimes, but it's just, it all depends on the power of the person's mind and their dedication to seeing this positive shift happen. And you were ready. You were done playing games. You were like, I need to figure this out for myself. And so with that dedication, that determination, it was insane. It was so funny. And you're like one of my favorite success stories, because it was just like the things that were coming up were just so funny and so crazy and so different.
We'll say one story of, we'll
say one of the two. Okay, go for it.
One of the two is, I should say, a rock star that should remain nameless. I was walking around the park, and this very famous lead singer of a band was there as well. And I know of him, and I just felt like the moment we exchanged energy, I felt really confident within myself. I really felt like, I think pre this work, I would have not given myself permission to be at their level, in their space or whatnot, or not good enough, but feeling like, no, I'm a beautiful, strong, independent, confident woman. I can hold my own. I can engage. He's just a person. And we ended up hanging out. And then I'd say for the rest of the month, I was playing tennis with, with this high level rock star. And I was just really thinking to myself, how in the world did this happen?
Yeah. She even would text me and be like, can we make it an hour later? I'm playing tennis right now with, Phil and Lynn. I was like, absolutely, you can reschedule for that. Absolutely. But it's just so amazing that you were able to start to do some of this work. So what were the biggest, I think, shifts that happened for you that now you can say, this is who I am, since you started working with me?
More than anything, I feel as if I was so hardwired to be so difficult on myself when something didn't go my way, or it wasn't exactly what I wanted to manifest or come forth. And now I feel like I'm allowing myself to be in the flow of things, and realize that could very well be a bridge of incidents going on to the thing I want anyway. But if I get so hung up on this one thing not going exactly the way I wanted to, then I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the whole experience and the whole journey. And who knows, that's probably leading to what I wanted anyway, or something better, which is what I've learned more than anything within this process, is being so hung up on one outcome and then learning to let it go. And then something even more amazing comes forward and I go, oh, okay. So this is why I shouldn't let my energy be clogged up, because look at all of this that I could be missing if I just wasn't in it.
To me, it sounds like you're so much more trusting through cultivating your divine feminine. You trust your life more, you receive more, you create more space for masculine energies to come and like rendezvous with you. You also make it okay to just like exist rather than to do, which I know has been a huge shift for me. Like I used to I couldn't sit down and do nothing. I'd be like, oh, people who do nothing are so lazy. They don't get anything done. They're so worthless. They're just wasting space on this earth. Like, no, being in a state of being is like such a feminine attribute.
It is. And that's the toughest lesson, to just allow yourself to be. I know in the tarot card, the high priestess, they always show me that she's just literally sitting on her throne with her coins and her crown ready, and being like, yeah, you come to me. You impress me. You tell me why you need my presence. You deserve my energy. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I need to be doing. That. Allowing myself to receive and realize it's all going to be okay. And more than anything too, I feel a sense of purpose now that I've connected to my femininity, because before I was just always trying to compete and prove myself, and now, and it wasn't getting me anywhere. And now I feel that being within my divine feminine gives me such a sense of I'm helping the collective. All the women that are tapping into their divine feminine right now, you're helping raise the vibration of the planet. And that gives me such a sense of purpose, and just a mission has begun. And I really think that's what's happening right now amongst the collective, amongst women. There's this awakening happening, that going, oh, not only is it okay to feel this soft, it's necessary. So I feel very honored that I heard the calling. I woke up and now I'm in it.
Woo! Love it.
And also, more than anything, helping support other women feels so much a part of my mission as well.
Yeah. And here you are doing just that, being on the show.
Yep.
She's
so
living
so we had 3 months, and we worked with other stuff too, but I think the essence of what we were doing was really, and really the definition of stepping into your authentic self might be different for different people, but for you, it was this divine feminine was a huge, huge part of it. Would you say that it's easier for you now to, even though we're not working together anymore, super sad, would you say that it's easier for you than before to find yourself stepping into this role more and more every day?
Absolutely. 100%. The growth from when we started to when we ended, the double-edged sword of that is I miss you so much, but all the growth has really prepped me to be okay on my own. And I think people really need to hear that when they go into hypnosis as well, because that's the end goal. You want help, but at the end, you're hoping that you can cultivate all this on your own.
Yeah, no one wants to go to a coach or a therapist forever. No one wants to go
for the rest of their life.
So hopefully in the time that you work together, the therapist or the coach is able to give you, and hopefully that's what I was able to help you do, is find the tools within yourself and find this energy that you had already, and just kind of allow it to be within you all the time, and allow yourself to really recognize when it's not in alignment. What can I do to get back on track? And when I'm thinking these old thoughts and patterns, what can I do to get back on track to where I was? And so hopefully that's what I was able to help you do. Well, Karina, we have to take another break. It's been so great having you on the show. I'm so glad that you're able to come and share.
Yeah, you're awesome. Thanks for being here.
Isn't she just the best?
Yes. Well, both you women are very inspiring, and I can just feel all the loving energy you guys give as well. So thank you so much for creating this podcast, because I know it needs to be heard and be put out there, and I'm very honored.
Thank
you. Thanks, Karina. Well, we're going to take a break and say goodbye to Karina, but when we come back, we're going to get more into working and awakening your divine feminine and what you can do to begin that process. So we'll take a break and be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Vibin It. So in the last segment, we just talked to Karina, one of my beloved clients from a couple months ago who came to me exclusively to reconnect to her divine feminine. Had a great conversation with her, and now we're going to talk about and really dive into practical ways, because we love to give you actionable steps every time we meet up every week, and we want to give you some ways to really activate and acknowledge when you're not in your feminine and what you can do about it. So what do you have, Kels?
Yeah, so I can only speak from my experience, obviously, but cultivating your divine feminine is all about first identifying what does it mean to be in your feminine energy, to be in your feminine essence. So what I always recommend to people is to start by journaling and just ask yourself, what does it mean to be feminine to me? And then some words will come up, some ideas, just free flow with it and see what comes up. And then how can you start embodying more of that in your daily life? Also, another really helpful question that you can journal on and contemplate is, what societal constructs of femininity do you actually enjoy and resonate with? So, for example, we have the societal construct that like feminine women wear dresses and wear makeup and high heels. Like, do you like those things? Do you feel more feminine when you wear them or use them? If so, start doing that more. It's not to say that society is correct about everything, but there are some themes, because we're kind of all around the same page as far as instinctively knowing what the energy likes. So for example, the feminine likes to be seen, likes to be radiant, likes to express its beauty. So hence, makeup to accentuate our features, to draw attention. It all goes together. It's not necessarily just this societal thing that is like, oh, in order for me to be feminine, I have to fit into what the description of a woman is. Like, no, this is why it's important for you to decide what societal constructs of femininity do you like doing, and then do more of those. Obviously, don't do anything that doesn't resonate with you. Okay, so that's journaling. Then we have some more practical everyday ways to start stepping into your feminine. So I've noticed for me that something that has been super transformative is to just give myself permission to exist without having to do any certain thing.
Yeah.
So this can look like going to the park, hanging out, not getting anything done, just existing, just being in my own company, taking a nap, something I never used to do when I was always in my masculine energy, because I would judge myself too much for it. Like, oh, you're not being productive enough or whatever. Another really helpful everyday thing you can do is practice the art of receiving. So when somebody gives you a compliment, receive the compliment and thank them for the compliment instead of deflecting, like how we do a lot. This is something I teach in my manifesting masterclass, because a key to manifesting is your ability to receive and allow and feel worthy. So practicing this in your everyday life will really translate into your manifestation efforts.
And it will also trickle down into that self-love aspect too. So there's no downside to receiving a compliment well.
Yeah, receiving compliments, receiving gifts, receiving people's time, receiving people's acknowledgement and praise of you, receiving help is a huge one. If somebody holds the door open for you, receiving that as a nice gesture instead of being like, oh, well, I could have done that myself. Well, yeah, obviously you could have done it yourself, or you can just be in your receiving mode and be like, oh, I'm so thankful that somebody created this moment for me to receive this nice gesture. So being is one, receiving is another. Also like feminine stuff. So when you think of being feminine, what is the image that comes to mind, and how can you kind of use your body to express that? So maybe you like to dress a certain way or wear certain makeup, or like, for example, when we were going to do this show, originally I was wearing jeans and a tank top and I had my hair up. And Lynnsey was like, well, I really want to talk about the divine feminine today. And I was like, okay, I got to go change. So I put on a dress. I put my hair down. I got in my more feminine essence, my feminine mode. And now I feel like I can be in that space more comfortably in this outfit, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a bra. I'm not wearing shoes. I'm just free flowing. Like my hair is flowing. Everything is just free, which to me is a feminine quality. So doing things on the outside that help you feel more feminine on the inside is always a great hack. hanging out with more feminine women, being in community spaces with other women where you can talk about feminine topics like connection, intimacy, receiving, loving, where you can nurture each other, where you can laugh together, where you can be wild and free together. Hang out with more feminine women is going to help you cultivate your femininity. And then also look to some role models that you have and people that you feel like really do embody that divine feminine essence, and then kind of not try to be them, but model some of their actions, some of their energies. So like, for example, somebody who I felt was always really feminine was Audrey Hepburn. And to me, she's very graceful. She's very nurturing. She's very beautiful. She's very radiant, very giving. And so when I think of Audrey Hepburn and I want to embody some more of those qualities, it helps me tap into my divine feminine.
I love that. And I know, okay, so I have a question for you, because I have a few ways that help me, that I've discovered really awaken my femininity and make me feel super feminine as a great thing and help me welcome that energy in. But before I get to that, when you mention, doing things that to you feel feminine, or the feminine aspects, you can kind of practice those. It brought up a question for me, and I really want to know what your take is on it. So we discussed in the first segment and a little bit in the last one how there's a lot of societal constructs as to what is expected of a feminine person and what kind of box that we put them into. So for me, a lot of feminine things that society has taught are feminine are shaving your legs, shaving your arms, and getting your hair done, and putting on all this makeup and wearing certain tight-fitting clothes, or even the concept of a bra is not, if we're not born with it, it was created by society. So my question is, and I want to know what your opinion is, what do you think about, there are certain themes now in society where women are kind of fighting back on this and saying, well, no, I'm not going to wear a bra. I'm not going to wear a tampon because it's freaking toxic, or I'm not going to shave my armpits. So do you think that if I'm a woman, then I'm equating these feminine aspects to femininity and choosing not to do them, do you think that it would inadvertently allow somebody to drop into their more masculine by default? Do you think that would be a problem? Or do you think we just need to change our ideas about what femininity is to begin with? What do you think? Did that make any sense?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I think I have an answer.
Okay.
So for me, I don't think it's a problem. That's why I feel like when I was saying what societal constructs of feminine feel good to you, which ones do you enjoy? I feel like it's really about the individual.
Yeah.
So for the individual, if it's more empowering to not shave your legs or whatever, then that's fine. But like, ask yourself why you're doing that, because a lot of times you could just be doing it because you're protesting
right.
the fact that femininity has been so suppressed for such a long time. And that's kind of the opposite of embracing your divine feminine. If you're saying, I need to prove that I'm feminine by not doing feminine things, are you embracing your feminine essence, or are you being in your masculine because you're trying to prove yourself? The feminine doesn't prove itself. It just is.
Yeah.
It just exists. And it already is beautiful and perfect by how it is. One time when I was doing an exercise with this channeler that I work with a lot, he channeled my divine feminine essence for me. And when he was channeling her, he was saying things like, or I guess my divine feminine essence was saying things like, think of yourself as a flower. A flower does not have to do anything to be beautiful. Everybody thinks that I'm amazing and perfect just from existing. Flowers don't go to work and do these things and prove their worth to anyone, because everybody already knows their inherent value. So I guess it's just the intention behind why you are or aren't doing something is what makes you either assess if you're in your feminine or your masculine.
Perfect. And the intention is going to decide whether you're creating an imbalance or not. Because like you said, if you're doing it to protest and by default kind of honoring the masculine instead of the feminine because of the protest, that's going to cause an imbalance, and it's going to feel bad. Any kind of imbalance doesn't, your body knows, your mind knows, your spirit knows. So it's going to cause that imbalance. But sometimes embracing your femininity is not shaving your legs, is just wanting to just be who you are and not have to worry about what people might see or think or feel by your actions. It's just like, no, I'm me, I'm beautiful no matter what. So I'm not going to shave my legs today. And that sometimes is, but if it's like you said, if it's just like,
you're protesting just to
if
protest,
you're protesting,
then that's another thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that came to me when we were talking was another way for us to cultivate our feminine, and that is to spend time in feminine places. So even places on this planet have more dominant energies. For example, New York City is a very hyper masculine place. And when you go there, pretty much everyone is in masculine mode. They're in the hustle, they're in the grind, they're go, go, go. Everyone's competing. Everyone's just doing all the time, constant doing. Whereas if you go to a place like Hawaii, it's very lush, it's very abundant, it's very chill. That area has a super feminine nature to it. So that's why people that live in New York and they get stressed out because there's so much in their masculine, they want to take a vacation to somewhere like that to unwind and tap into their feminine to create more balance. So whichever energy you're going for, spend more time in those types of places, because it's going to be absorbed by you and help to like almost reset your nervous system.
Yeah. And so the ways that kind of helped me, I noticed this definitely after I became a mom, because again, when I think of feminine, the divine feminine, I think of all that the divine feminine is, and you can't think of that without getting to the mother aspect. So when I noticed it without even trying, when I did have kids, just being pregnant and realizing how amazing your body is, like look at what you're able to do. And of course, giving birth to the child. Oh my gosh, there's another moment where I'm astonishing myself at my abilities and my amazing divine aspect, feminine aspect.
That's the ultimate like action of creativity. It's like the ultimate creation to like birth a human, and creativity is one of the aspects of the feminine. So of course you would feel so much more feminine.
And we made the joke, like, of course I'm not saying like everybody go out and have a child, just go give birth. But
that'll help you feel feminine.
Oh God, and so many other things too. But just by default, that's what really kind of allowed me to own it and just be okay. Like, yeah, I'm a freaking badass. I'm a divine feminine mother effa. Like, this is what happened. This is who I am. And then of course those little moments where your little boy, hurts himself and he wants mommy and he just needs mommy's cuddles. Every night before bed, my 3-year-old wants, that's part of our routine, is mommy cuddles. And it's just like, how much better can it get? Like, this is it. This is what life is about. And, all that being said, we've talked a lot about the feminine aspect, but of course you can't have the feminine without the masculine, and you can't have the masculine without the feminine. The whole point is not to overshadow the other, right? So a lot of times when we feel like we have to overcompensate for one, it just overshadows the other. And so we're kind of overcorrecting, but there's always a way to, within yourself, within society, within the world as a collective, build each other up and really stop focusing on how you can get one up on the other. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because one is not better than the other. No. It's just a preference. And if I would say maybe 80% of women probably naturally prefer to be more in their feminine essence, and the same with men. Probably about 80% of men, the majority, prefer to be in their masculine essence. And then there's always the exceptions. It's not necessarily about gender. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right. Exactly. And it does come up a lot in the conversation. When we talk about feminine, we just by default say women, and
we're talking about an energy, but we are assuming that most women would prefer to live mostly in this energy.
Yeah. So if you are a woman, it is possible that you are perhaps wired in a certain way that would prefer your feminine energy. So that's why we say, like, go hang out with other women with like interests and go do some feminine things that will bring up that energy. It doesn't necessarily mean girly things, but feminine things. And that's different for everybody. But we have to close. again. We have to end.
We always run out of time.
We have to
Guys,
stop talking.
We are literally about to create like a membership platform for you guys, so that even though we only have an hour every week on the show, we talk afterwards on the show for like sometimes 20 or 30 minutes about the topic, getting to what we didn't get to in the show. So we're thinking about creating a membership program where you guys can pay like a certain tiny little fee every month and have access to all this extra content that we're already creating, but nobody's getting to see it. So if you guys think that would be a great idea and you're like totally in, like, yes, we want longer episodes, we want more content from you guys, then let us know.
Yeah, let us know. It's definitely something that we've been mulling over a lot more. I think it'd be a great idea, but not if nobody cares. So if you guys want it, let us know and we will definitely create some good stuff for you. One of the hypnosis audios that I did with Karina is going to be up on my site. I'm not sure if it's going to be a freebie or not, but if you guys want access to that audio, just join my mailing list. You can find it on on my website. There's a tab for Vibin It, the show. So click on that tab and it's everything for the show. There's where to listen to it, where to listen to it live and on demand, the different podcast apps, and on that page as well. Is a link to join my mailing list so that you get updates about the show. So when you join that list, you'll get a notification when I do have that up on the site, so you guys can go check that out. It is the exact audio that I used with Karina to help her really step into her divine feminine, and it's freaking awesome. So if you want that, join my mailing list and listen for the update when I have that live. Also, we mentioned this, I think, in the last show perhaps, but no, we didn't. We did it in Insta stories. If you guys don't follow us on social media, look for Kelsey Aida or Lynnsey Robinson on pretty much any social media platform and connect with us, because we talk a lot. Like, we go live sometimes in our Instagram and talk about the show and what we're gonna do, and there's a lot of extra content there as well. One last thing, if you guys love the show and if you want to let us know that you love the show, please go leave us a review. Our show is a baby and it needs lots of love. So we need more reviews, we need more feedback and what you guys think of the show, because we don't really have a show without you guys. So we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and thank you in advance, and to everyone who's already been sharing the show with people, because this show is growing so fast. Our producer at Voice America told us that this is the fastest growing show he's basically ever seen. So thank you for all your support and for being here and for sharing the show and just being your awesome self and listening to what we have to say and caring about our perspective. It makes me feel really seen and really heard. And I get a lot of my human needs met through this show. So I'm super thankful for it and thankful for you guys for being here.
Oh my gosh, we forgot to mention my genius tip on what manifesting is. During one of the commercial breaks, I was telling Kelsey that my brain just exploded because I had this amazing epiphany. But manifesting, which is a huge component to our show, it's a huge topic that we pretty much every show we touch on it. But manifesting in itself is really the embodiment of the divine feminine and masculine energies perfectly balanced. Because if you really break down what manifesting is, it is inspired action, intentional action to get the goal, which means, those practices that we talk about, affirmations, journaling, setting those intentions and really doing what you can do to create that outcome. And then the allowing, the receiving, the trusting, the having faith that it is going to come to fruition is completely divine feminine energy. So I was just saying to her, no wonder the law of attraction is the law. No wonder it is ironclad that this is the way things are, because it is the perfect balance of masculine, feminine energy. And that is where worlds are created. So it was just really cool. Let me know if you guys agree with that. If you don't agree, you have a different aspect, don't tell me. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't tell us if you
we love exploring different points of view, but that was just something that just came to me, and it's just it makes sense. It makes complete sense to me. So it's just really cool how those little nuggets come. But anyway, we do have to run. I'm talking super fast because we have to close the show, but we love you so much. We'll see you next week, and stay high vibe.
Bye.